Greetings, friends and fellow cigar boss, guitar enthusiasts. Del Puckett here, and I am in the home stretch of number 530. Whoop. This is going to be a smaller style build. I just love this box. Listen to this resonance. My gosh, listen. All right, let's get this party started. All right, first off, this Fonseca, am I saying that right? My father's cigar box measures in at a whopping 7 1/4 by 9 inches by 2 1/16 or 2 1/8. I'm currently in the neck carving stage. Here I'm doing the sand, and I really am just making sawdust like crazy. I did want to show you the size of this thing here. The distance from the zero fret or the nut to where the saddle is going to be is what they call the scale length. And like I said, this is a shorter instrument. Let me show you what I mean. So when creating your necks, you need to figure out how long this piece is here. So you just measure the inside of here, right? Then you measure that, and then cut off your heel to be that way. You know where to begin your fretboard going that way. Like I said, this one is going to be a smaller scale instrument. So this is a 20-inch size instrument. It's going to go 20 inches from the nut where the string launches to the saddle or the brit, whatever you want to call it over here, to where the strings land over here. So the strings launch here, land here, or vice versa. It's the two nodes of the vibration. So here's a template. So I'm going to put my template on exactly where I want the final fret here. In this case here, I want this to be a 5th above the octave here. Here's the octave, and here's the 5th above. So I want this fret here to be my my last fret, so I can reach up there and get that note. Does that make sense? So you have to predetermine all this stuff, and you actually see a little line there. That's what I use to cut off the fretboard when I'm making the fretboard. But what I wanted to point out was really, and you also want to be careful here to line up the inside of the nut slot with that. I don't know if you can make sense. I mean, it's not on the outside. The outside would be here, right? But we want to make sure the inside. I do have a little groove here to kind of help me line up to where that is. And when you have that right, then that tells you exactly 20 inches to where this guy here, I already measured it, but I wanted to show you, wanted to prove it to you. Let me flip it around this way so it's not upside down. And again, you want to start your measurement where the string launches, which is right there. Okay, see what I'm saying? So when the string launches, 20 inches is going to be exactly right there. And I put a little mark, ding, right, and that's right where the saddle goes, not your string. Your string catches over here, and it launches in it right there. That's where it becomes a string and starts vibrating. So that is a 20-inch. And the reason why it's because it's smaller, right? For a junior. One of the artistic things I did is I took the circles that I cut here and I glued them to the inside there, just to be different. And if you notice, I glued that, like the label in there, so it's the exact right alignment for when you look in. A little tip is to when you're cutting your hole for your notch, obviously you're going to want to center it, and I recommend one of these things here. You can get them at cbgitty.com, link in the description. But what I wanted to point out here is you want to underestimate the size of your neck, right? Obviously you measure it, get it exact. You can use it to outline whatever you get, but you're going to want to cut like on the inside of the lines, right? So it's just a hairpin narrower. You don't want it fatter, because then you're going to have gaps here, right? So you want to file to the perfect size and get a perfect tight fit. So make sure that your initial hole is a tiny bit smaller, so that when it does, and I still have to go just a little bit smaller, it's still just about, you can actually see when it closes here, it's just, well, that's actually pretty good here. Let's see here. Yeah, I might just have to go with that here. I did want to show you this tool that I just recently picked this up at a thrift store in Arizona. Look at the teeth on the edge of this thing here. This thing is, it's very old, super old, but my gosh, super sharp. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but these edge teeth here, this is what I want to point out here, is that they're perfect for these corners in here, right? I mean, there's multiple ways to do it, man, but this guy here gets in there and makes those corners nice and sharp. Of course, you're gonna go back and touch them all up and make them all pretty and stuff like that, but for a nice coarse alignment here, gosh, this thing here is freaking awesome. Get in focus there. Focus. There it is. Look at that. Swing. Another thing that's really, 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 really important is to clean out your fret slots. Make sure that there's no sawdust or stain or steel wool or anything in there. You want to just double check, double check, double check, triple check, quadruple check. The main reason that you want to clean out those slots is because this part of the fret, this part with all the little barbs on it, I don't know if you can see those little barbs. Let's see here, get in all, yeah, those little barbs here. This bottom part here is called the tang. The top part is called the crown. Look how long this is. So you want to measure that little tang part. You want to make sure that your fret slot is deeper, just slightly deeper than the length of that tang, right? And so you can actually measure. I've seen guys where they put little lines on here vertically, so that tells you how deep you're going with your saw. And by the way, the saw is another thing that I get from cbg.com. I've adjusted my table saw right there so that the blade height is perfect for the perfect depth of this thing here when I saw it. Again, that's critical. This has to be just a slightly bit deeper than the length of your tang. You guys remember tang? Back in the day, that orange juice, you mix it all up. Yeah, tang. But neck carving is by far my favorite aspect of building. Why? It's because we get to make man glitter. If you look down here at the, what I've been doing is rolling out a piece of a paper towel, right, just to catch all this stuff here. But it's all over the place, all over the floor, all over my clothes. That's why we have a vacuum, right? You can probably even see it in the air, right? So yeah, I usually start off by routing these edges with, I have a half round router bit, and that just kind of takes off a lot of the meat there. These parts here, I just cut them off kind of with the table side of vertical here. You just got to be careful. That's why I have this little bump here. That's where the actual saw blade comes down here, and I just kind of make it artistic then. You don't have to do that, but just you can do whatever you want. I always leave a little ledge here where it kind of smashes into the box, and that means that this part here is thinner and tapers back here toward the back angle here. So I know a lot of these are the basics, but as far as the actual carving of itself here, I do recommend, guys, just take your time, man. Just seriously, just if there's a spot to slow down, it's here, because I think it's just one of the critical aspects. This is kind of where the real transformation between lumber and wood, whatever your boards, whatever, turns into an instrument. This is that magical moment. So you want to kind of control everything, like the feel. You definitely want it to feel desirable to play. Number one. Number two, you want to look at it, right? And it's got to look either cool or flawed, or it's got to have a look, right? It's got to have some sort of a vibe. Now, I've been working on this thing here for a couple hours, and I can already look down here and see that there's a few file marks, just little subtle things. Just, you gotta take your time and look at it. Make sure it's clean, right? Because as soon as you clean it, you realize it's like, oh my gosh, I missed a spot here. There's all sorts of little spots here that that the eye will reveal. Like right up in here, I can see that there's sandpaper gouges, whatever, and it's not entirely smooth. You can see the contours. So again, take your time, work your way up. I have the real aggressive ones. This one here takes meat, takes off flesh. That's the main one, and I already showed you this one here with the teeth on the side here. Obviously the Shinto, you guys should definitely look into a Shinto. Like, they come in 2 different sizes. This is the big one. But you eventually you're going to work your way down. I use everything: round files, little round files, sandpaper. I even wrap the sandpaper around the round file and get after it, right? Especially for these kind of contours up in here, and on the back here where you got kind of a, you know, a square file. It's not going to get in there, right? But these round guys get in there real good. In fact, get rid of those marks there. Eventually, you're going to work up to sandpaper, and then finer and finer and finer and finer grit sandpaper. And then you have to make the ultimate decision, how to finish it. And that's a struggle, my guys. The struggle is real. How to finish it. Why is it that all the awesome artwork is always on the inside? Look at that. That's all before AI and stuff here. The outside is pretty good too, you know, but the insides are always awesome. And because this is an acoustic style guitar build, I opted not to do the blocks and the screws connecting the box to the neck. So instead, what I did is I measured the thickness of the heel, the block that goes all the way through here. I measured that thickness, and I found the exact center. And then, of course, using the CBGT template, I put a little notch there that tells me the center. I can measure it, and then I go back and measure it. You know, measure twice, right? Measure this to this side and this side. Make sure that you're dead center. Then I get a pencil lead and I make it look all funny like that, right? And then I squeeze the lead in the hole like this. And then I'm just going to wiggle this neck around sideways, hopefully, so that I can create a line on the inside there. Does that make sense? I didn't think it was going to work, but it worked. I broke my pencil lead, but I did get a nice straight line there across. Now I just need to drill that hole in the center of this guy, and then it'll line me up to the center of that guy, and I'll be sure to hedge my bets that this neck will be centered in the box. And then just for confirmation, you get yourself a nail. This is going to be a pin. We're just going to stick it through the center of this hole, into the center of that hole, right? And then verify and confirm. It's nice and tight. And confirm that we are indeed squared up. Now I have various squares. You can just eyeball it, but if you want to get yourself a square, you can certainly, like I said, verify. Yep, that's pretty good. That is pretty good. And you also verify in the up and down, right? And you could tell if it's you just kind of snug it. You want to make sure that it's snug, 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 snug. Shellac. Says it dries in minutes, but put it on nice and thick. It's actually more than a few minutes. Well, darn it. We're out. So I went on the internet and I found out that you can use lacquer over shellac. It said, in fact, a lot of people do this. So anyhow, that's what we're going to do. And it turns out you learn something new every day, because I didn't know that. That shellac actually makes this wood just pop. I mean, look at that grain just pops out. So I'm going to wait till this thoroughly dries, hit it with another 400 grit sandpaper, and then we're gonna experiment, and we're gonna try this and see how that works. Anyhow, guys, that's it for this video here. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you liked it. Be sure to give us a thumbs up, leave a comment. Don't forget to hit the affiliate link located in the video description for discounts. And it really does help support this channel, guys. Appreciate y'all, and we'll keep in touch. Cheers.